I've got the splash page as being bullish, but I'll just call that in for the short term. So I'll call it in to around the 30,000 here. When we're talking about the 30,000, we're talking group 1 above and group 2 below, of course. So group 1 above the number 3, major level 3 here, will be the swing range here for that. So we can see that this is always good when you see group 2 here becoming the market stalling in group 2 here. I always like it because what it means to me is that when the market plays out around this number here, let's just say that it moves up here, it comes back and it offers that support at that particular point in time, you know. So it's the beginning of working with this number. It's the first step, arriving here and creating a consolidation at this point. Anyway, that's just sort of the next step to the upside. I don't know if I had this in the last video. I mean, I had it labeled and I didn't have to move things too much, but maybe I did, maybe I didn't, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, I'm just looking at this as little wave 1 and 2 here, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and a nice third wave, nice fourth wave, have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave here, a fourth wave here. So we will see a little dance across the 29 here, 29,000. And then we'll see a push to the upside, so we should see it something of this nature here, something like this, and then pushing up, you know, into group up into group 1 here. But I want to talk about this a little bit further, and I want to talk about this particular correction here and so on. So I can run through different ways of looking at things, but at the end of the day, I would like to bring Bitcoin in line with what's happening with the rest of the world in terms of the current move up here. Now, it's okay. I've been looking at different ways to count this to the upside here. So from the 20,000, we could look at it as wave 1 and 2 here, and then wave 1 and 2 here. That was one way we looked at it, you know. That's a very bullish stance, by the way, isn't it? So because we'll be going for wave 3 at this point, and then wave 4 and wave 5. So it's really building to the upside of within this particular pattern. We'll keep a bit of an eye on it. Obviously, we've got some sort of 50-60% retracement level area here. I'll have to check what that is, and we'll have a look at that in the bigger picture, because I thought the 61.8% was further up at that point. So anyway, we could look at it as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. It's fine to do that. You know, I've pulled it all apart and had a bit of a look at it, and you know, we've been over it and so on. But the main takeaway is we're going up. We're going to do a dance around here, and we'll just need to stop and check in on the way as we do that. Another way to count it up here as well. I'm just shooting the breeze. I think this is what the video is for. It's not to lay down any laws or anything like that. It's really just to think about things a little bit. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here. And then an ABC for wave 2. It's okay, but wave 2 didn't really pull back very far. So is that right? You know, at that point, you know, it just didn't sort of do it. We can count 5 waves up here as we're just counting up, you know, so that would also create a much bigger picture to the upside, you know. And if we were going to go further to the upside, we'd be looking for a pattern like this. We've had the arrival and the reaction here, and now we're in this little move here, right? This move going to the upside. So we've had the arrival, the reaction, I believe so anyway, and then we'll have this move coming into here we'll see how we get up here in case it just has 5 waves here and fails. Then we'll call that the arrival at this point, and then coming back in some ABC pattern here, and then pushing up here, and then having an ABC pattern, and the 28 here and the 2650, you know, 26,500 is the lower end of all of that, so just roughly in there. And the 72, got to put it in there now. Close enough. And now I'm going to turn it, I like to colour it a little bit, because it's so close, I just like to give it a bit of colour there to sort of identify it. So look, it could go like this. It could go straight up like this, and then have an ABC pattern here, and then go up at that point. It could even go up to here and fail. This is the thing. But the thing is that once we have those tops in there, then we can call it bullish anything past that. And yeah, so what I wanted to do, and I'll just have a look at what I got on the 20K. This is the other count here. And this is good too. This is okay, you know, with wave 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 going up here. So if we count 5 waves to here, we may be able just to put that 5th wave here and leave it at that. We may end up pushing it further up here. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's going to hit 30,000 and it's going to, you know, it's going to spend time here. So, you know, don't look at the moon, just look out the back window at your garden, because, you know, it's going to be here for a while, you know. The reason that I like this count the most is because, let me talk about that for a moment. This particular pattern here has been the 23rd, yeah, 22nd, 23rd to the 29th, 27th, 29th, 28th. So this particular pattern here, you know, we've seen it across the tech market. So this is Apple here. So that's the 28th, 29th, 23 to the 29th or something, yeah. So that's the same pattern here. We're getting a little 5 waves up here. We still need to take the top out here, so we can look at this as 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5. So in the bigger picture here, Minky's watching doggy telly. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. So we've got this 5 wave move here, you know. So we're definitely going to have a correction over here. Now, it's the same. Here we can have a top in place, or we could go more bullish, but what we can say is that once we get those 5 waves in, anything above that we can be bullish at that point, you know. But of course we're going to come back in some type of correction here. We could come further down at this point, you know. This is Apple. That's its pattern here. That's the same as little Bitcoin here. And that means that, let me just have a look. So in a way, just keep things simple. We're looking for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in Apple, and you know that's. I can see that I could pull other tech stocks to do the same as well. I could also pull the US banks here as well. With the US banks here, we're looking for a corrective rally as an A and a B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got. Like global markets are all doing the same. Everything's doing the same thing. Not everything, but I mean, you know, I mean, I'm using the banks because it's so different from the tech stocks, you know. And you know, this is not isolated as well. This is the pattern here in what's the name? The Nasdaq. Bring down the curtain. So it's the same pattern here as well. We've got it labeled as wave 4. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and then looking for 5 waves up here, hitting 13,000, which is, you know, a major trading level thing as well. So yeah, we've got a bit more to go up here. Do you know what I mean? So I'm thinking that this is the same as once we get up to here, this can be a serious top, or we can have wave 1 here, or we can have a more serious wave 1 here. I won't go into all of that at the moment, but you know, these are all they're all same, you know. So to have this as, you know, and they started, you know, all the same. They're all the March lows. So they're all the same. They're all the same, you know. So, you know, they can do individually things differently. You know, this is probably, you know, I don't know, but still needs to clear the top. We know Apple and all that need to go. There'll be some sort of, you know, thing here. You know, there'll be something like this. It doesn't have to. In fact, it should be really. Let me just get this together a little bit, because this wave 3 looks a little bit smaller than. Didn't quite get that on the nose, but it just pointing out that it's smaller than wave 1 here. So in that case, we would want to see, if we just put this top in here, we really need to see wave 5 below 32,000. That's pretty much it. So that means that, but at the same time, we want to clear the top here. So there'll be different ways to count it. And then we also got to kind of, we know where the target should be. We know that it needs to take out the top. We know that Apple and the banks and that have still got further to go to the upside. So we should be looking higher, you know. It's just how that's going to play out to get there. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of it in a bit of a nutshell. We'll be up to the 32,000. We're going to spend time here. We're not going to know what's going on for a while here. We don't know in the bigger picture of scheme of things of how this is going to play out. You know, I don't know what I've got on the daily chart. I did want to have a look at a really big picture here as well. So yeah, so just to sort of look at this on the daily chart again, doesn't hurt to, we can look at it as an A wave, a B wave and a C wave finishing here, right? So we can move the wave one, we can put the C wave here and the B wave here, and then we come down, you know. That's plausible, possible, all the rest of it, right? But we don't know. I don't know that. I don't know that. All I know is that if we do get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here, we get 5 waves up here, and we get some some sort of ABC coming back into all of this. Anything, you know. Even if we look at all of this as wave 1 here, some pullback to the 50-60%. And then if we go up from that point, well then jolly good, we'll be bullish. Anything to take out these tops, we'll be in more of a bullish mode to the upside. And that's plausible too. You know, we can look at this as wave 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here and continue to move up. It's not really an issue. It's just, all I'm saying is that we've got a situation where we've got 3 waves here, right? And we need to move past that top to move past those 3 waves. Because if we move past 3 waves, that means we'll go from 30,000 to 50,000. The next level. So that's all. We just have to wait. You know, I can't say, you know, I'm very careful about getting into the guessing game. We're using Elliott Wave, so I need to use it correctly, you know. I don't want to have, you know, it's discretionary enough. I don't want to put a splash of wishful thinking in there as well, you know. So anyway, that's where it is at this stage, you know. And this can be counted in different ways. You know, there'll be some folks that'll have this as wave 1 and back for wave 2 here, and they'll look at this as wave 1. I can see all of that. I can see everything, you know, but, oh, not everything. Oh, that would be nice, wouldn't it? But if I tied in with the Nasdaq and Apple and the rest of the world, and we're looking for those 5 waves up there, because we have to resolve these tops for stocks as well, you know, being a bearish mode from that point and so on. So that's it, really. But I did want to have a look at the. Let's just indulge ourselves here for a moment and get a little high. So this is log scale. Now, you've probably seen log scales with Elliott Wave and stuff before, and different people are doing different things with all of this and so on. You know, I've seen folks that have this leg here as a third wave here. You know, I've seen people have this as a third wave here. But to me, they're all a little bit small. They're not really capturing it. So all I can see it as, you know, and I've been a penny stock trader for, you know, in my early days, so I know how these things look and work and go, and that's how I see Bitcoin back in these days. I mean, even though it was like $10 or $100, you know, it's basically something new. When you go back and have a look at Amazon and Apple and those things when they started, they'll be doing the same thing. They'll look exactly the same but different, you know. So I'm thinking that if we're going to be bullish on this, And there's a long way to go in the world with all of this. We can see that, the fractional banking system, the fiat currency, is really everything takes much longer than expected. Currencies, they change every, I think the average is like 50 years or something, and they change, and they come off. You have a look at the sterling when it had silver in it, and they just don't. As a history, they're all this anyway. So what I'm sort of saying is, for the US dollar to become less dominant in the market, it takes time, and it is being chipped away at on a lot of fronts. We can see Lagarde and the system itself, having a crack at Bitcoin wherever they can, and keeping it in its place, and it'll get worse before it gets better, I can assure you that. And then on the other side, to weakening the currency, you've got China now doing deals with Russia in yuan. You've got China buddying up to the Saudis and the Iranians and anybody else that the US is not talking to at the moment. So they're developing their own situation and pushing their currency forward. So we're going to have the US dollar is going to be challenged, and as that gets challenged, and the fractional banking systems, suffer more consequences, and more of them merge together, and the more they've got to be saved, and they'll be rushing to create their own digital currency, and they'll make mistakes, and there'll be all sorts of events that go on. And it will take a long time, but each one of those events will strengthen Bitcoin, and over time, we'll see this move up. And I think that having this situation here of 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 would be more in tune with what's happening. And because I've been a penny stock trade, I've seen things go from 1 cent to 10 cents to $1 to $10 and all those sort of things, been around the block. I mean, this is just another one of those to me. So when we do make a new high here next, because really all of this is about, I've got this at $10,000, but really all of this here is at the 50. This is all about the 50 here. This is all about the 50 at this point. I mean, the 30 sits nice and comfortably here, but people talk about the $60 top and 65, 69, 67, whatever it was. But to me, it's always been about the 50, because it had the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level. It gave us an ABC, which dropped really quite low. And even just normal stock trading, I have to say, it did drop a bit low. I mean, it can normally come back to the 30, but to drop this low was a bit of something I don't see that often, So when this is done at 50, then it's just natural to go to the next level. Now, there are other levels. There is 65, 72, 80, but really when you go from 50, the next one is, the 100 here. So I would just imagine that, there's a lot could happen here, right? I mean, it could go up to here, hit supply up here and come back down and so on. But in some way or another, it will eventually be at 100. And it'll spend time here, it'll just, so that's what it'll do. And when it's finished spending time here, whatever pattern it is, it'll move up again, as long as Michael Saylor doesn't keep buying all the Bitcoins, which is kind of, I was thinking about that, I think he owns 1 in every 151 Bitcoin, as somebody mentioned. I don't know if that's true or not. 1 in every 151 Bitcoin. So that does it, and if he's got like less than, I don't know how many billion he's got in it, 5 or maybe more, I don't know. But, if some serious institutions come in and they're all grabbing 5 or 10 each, it becomes a very small world after that, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? You know, it does start to look like, you know, the Manhattan property market after that, you know. So, yeah, I was just sort of thinking about that. It doesn't make it very inclusive to use at that point. If one person or two or three people own most of it, it becomes the same thing as a fiat currency at that point then, do you know? I don't know. Anyway, I'm just sort of yakking anyway. Anyway, that's a lot, and yeah, so I've put this here as an A and a B and a C wave coming down here, which is kind of a little bit the same as Ethereum, actually. Alrighty, I'll leave it at that. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy. Cheers.